and welcome to another of my video podcasts. Now, as you know, these are very often designed for people of a certain age and who want to remain positive about aging. But today's subject is something for people of all ages. At the moment, I think, despite the fact there is some better news like the vaccine, and if you're like me, you're very pleased about the US election, there's still a tendency for people to be feeling quite grim at the moment, anxious about the pandemic still, low mood, edginess, that kind of thing. It's not just here. I was talking to my brother earlier, who is a priest in Amsterdam, and he was saying his parishioners have all got the blues, as he put it. So, particularly I think on a day, we've got a bit of sunshine now, but you know, it was foggy and rainy this morning, and that's hard to remain of a cheerful disposition, isn't it, really? So when we are low and when we are edgy and tense, I don't think we tend to think as rationally as we should. And when we don't think rationally, we think irrationally, and irrational thinking is not good for our mental health. It's damaging. We allow ourselves to dwell on things in a way that can only bring us down further. And the thing is that, you know, we're not testing it out. We're just accepting wholesale these awful thoughts. You know, Mum's always preferred my brother to me. I'm the least popular person in the office. No man really wants to be with me. I've always been flawed compared with other people. I'm not as resilient as other people. I'm no good. Those sort of things, which are really damaging and bad for our mental state. So what I would like to encourage you to do is, next time you're having those sort of thoughts, is just to think, well, are these rational or are they irrational? And to prove if they're rational, then you really need to look at the evidence. So take one of those things. I've always been more frail than other people, say. And ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 5, with 5 being, yes, I absolutely believe it, ask yourself, how much do I really believe this? And you may say, well, I utterly believe it, so that's a 5. Okay. So then just say to yourself, well, are there any examples perhaps of when you have been quite resilient and buoyant and have achieved great things? And you'll probably think about when you took an exam that you didn't really want to do, but you actually made yourself study, or how you persisted to get a particular job, or how when your son was ill, you just looked up lots of things on the internet and made sure you got him to an appropriate doctor and got the help. So there will be things in your life that contradict this belief of 5 out of 5, I am less resilient and more flawed and more hopeless than everybody else. When you've done that, thinking for yourself, then perhaps take a trip down a kind of alternative route. Imagine that you're your best friend. Imagine that you're your favourite uncle. Imagine that you're a colleague at work who you know rates your work. Would they be saying, oh, 5 out of 5, you are absolutely hopeless, not resilient, flaky, etc., etc.? What rating would they give you? So you've looked at the evidence and you have probably reframed it slightly and brought it down a bit. And if you can get into the habit of doing that, you will stop assuming that just because you think something in a very hot way at that particular moment, it must be true. And you'll start going, but is it true? And that's a very important thing to do. It's a good plank of mental health, actually, to be able to challenge your thinking in this way. Because thinking rationally, you get through life a lot easier. It doesn't necessarily make you, Little Miss Sunshine, but you will be thinking on a more even keel, and that will help you. So I want to tell you a little tiny story now, which I think will stick in your mind, and then when you do go into some of this pretty bleak, irrational thinking, it might cause you to rethink. So I want you to imagine for a moment that you work in an office, open plan office, and you've arrived and everything's fine, and there's a ping as the lift arrives on your floor, and out comes your boss, and you go, "Good morning," and she just walks past you. Now, what's your reaction to that? Did my boss just blank me? Why would that be? Maybe she doesn't rate me. Come to think about it, I think she's been avoiding me quite a lot recently. She did ask me to redo that bit of work the other day. Maybe she really thinks that I'm hopeless. Maybe she's looking for an excuse to sack me. And I don't think she likes me much. Come to think about it, I don't think anybody in the office likes me much. I'm probably the least popular person in this office. And there we go again. I mean, that's happened to me so often. I'm just not somebody people like. I must be unlikable. Unlovable. Oh my God, my life's a mess. I wish I was dead. So can you see that in about 10 seconds, you've gone from "good morning" to "I wish I were dead"? This isn't rational. It's unpleasant for you, but it's just not based on anything. So then I would ask you to revisit that and say, are there reasons why your boss perhaps behaved as she did? And after a bit of thought, you'd go, well, she did look quite preoccupied. I know she's having trouble with the manager upstairs, and she has to report to him, and maybe he's been giving her a hard time. Also, somebody said that her cat isn't very well, so she only lives with her animals, so she maybe she's a bit miserable, or maybe her mind was just on something she was going to do later. Maybe she didn't hear me. And so you gradually surround yourself with other thoughts that are, if not utterly contradicting all the ones that you had, they certainly are a different view on things. And it's quite important to do that. So next time you're going, I'm hopeless, nobody likes me, everybody's doing better on these Zoom calls than me, I don't have any confidence, blah, 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 blah. Of course, there'll be some parts of it that there's a grain of truth, but I think it's important to challenge yourself and say, but is this really true? And remember the woman and the lift and the boss. And I think that will cause you to have a little think, and that will be a very good thing. See you next time.